What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about PlayStation in 2021. Kind of talk about what they need to do to have a successful year. I want to make this a two-part video, so this is going to be on PlayStation. Tomorrow is going to be on Xbox. I guess I'm technically leaving the Switch out, but if you guys want me to make a Switch video or a Nintendo video, I'd love to do that as well. No, before I get too far in, by the way, Happy New Year. Hope you guys have an amazing 2021. Thank you for all you've done on this channel, on my main channel, and all my stuff. In 2020, you guys have absolutely rocked it, and I owe all of this stuff to you guys. So again, I want to make this little series. Hopefully you guys like it. And so let's talk about it. So PlayStation had, well, quite a year in 2020, right? I mean, you look at the small little indie console they released in the PS5. You look at the big games they released. I mean, Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima were pretty big ones. But you have Miles, you have all the launch games for the PS5. But you also had smaller games like Neo 2 and Dreams and a bunch of Final Fantasy VII Remake was no slouch either, right? Big stuff that came from PlayStation this year. So what do they need to do? But at the same time, there were definitely mistakes. I mean, the way they handled pretty much the entirety of the PS5, like leading into it, they botched it. They did a lot of negative things in terms of like pre-orders, in terms of all that stuff. They had some major issues, okay? And the gaming industry wasn't perfect in 2020, either. I'm not saying Sony was the only one, but they definitely made mistakes. Going into 2021, what do they need to do? Well, I think they need to carry on, and this is easy to say, right? They need to carry on kind of the positive momentum that they built up in 2020. Anything good about this year, they need to continue it next year. So what does that mean? I think it means constant communication. So we're in we're in like a time period where PS5s are tough to come by. They're still tough. And while they're going to be they're going to be increasingly easier to obtain going into 2021, you still have to make sure that you're keeping, communication with people, right? People are upset, people are frustrated, some people expected the PlayStation day one and they're getting it like a month later. I mean, you got some people that aren't always happy, so and for good reason, some of them, right? So you need to constantly communicate, and that comes from Twitter, that comes from blogs, that comes from that kind of stuff. It also comes from state of plays, and that's a big thing for me. Whether this year has big conferences or not, which by the way I don't think it will, they need to communicate through state of plays. So I'm not saying I expect one monthly. I'm not saying I expect one like every other month, but I think we need around 3 to 4 state of plays like every year. I think it's a phenomenal way for everybody to come together. If this year has taught them anything, it should be that. I mean, the state of plays they did, not just like the big ones, like for the two for PS5, the June and September one. I mean, those were record breaking. Those were some of the most exciting days like ever, right? Even for like my channel, like just the YouTube community. I mean, it's so people that did like live reactions to it, like me who watched it, and then we made videos right after. I mean, it was an absolute blast. And you get a lot of information on PlayStation, games that are coming, third-party games. First, they don't even have to all be exclusives because they can be third-party, first-party, all this stuff. They did such an now, I know they weren't for everybody, and sometimes they didn't show what everybody wanted them to show or some things, right? But I would say overall they did a really good job with that. And that's what they need to do here. We need one early in the year. We need one probably around E3 time. We need one maybe late summer, and then we need one kind of to end the year. That's where I'm kind of looking. If I'm looking at like 4 things, you got to do it. You got to do it. So that's one of the things I would say to be successful beyond is, so like number one is how you handle the PS5 in terms of just getting those shipments out there, making sure everybody that needs or that wants it can actually get it, right? That's number one. Number two is the communication on that end, which is also like state of plays and showing us things. And again, like the cliche kind of number 3 thing is the games. So Sony has always been, and I would say that, I honestly would say that, they've always been most well-known for their games. Even back in like the PS3 era, especially when it started very, very rocky, right? When the PlayStation was way too expensive and all that, just the entire controversy that happened back then. The biggest thing for PlayStation is the games. People come for the games, and that needs to continue. And there's really no reason why it won't, because you look at 2021 and the diversity of the games is really amazing, like in a good way, where you have Ratchet and Clank, which is going to appeal to some people, but not everybody. You're going to have Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which is going to appeal to some people, but not everybody. You're going to have Returnal, the Housemarque game, right? You're going to have big guns like Horizon. I don't think God of War will come out in 2021. That's a bold prediction, but I do think that, okay? So I'm not necessarily going to include that, but if God of War does come out, I mean, that's another one too. You got to have games that are kind of widespread. That's what you did this year. Miles, while popular, is not for everybody. In fact, the sales kind of prove that. Demon Souls, not for everybody. Godfall, Sackboy, all of these, and these are just, by the way, games that came out that launch week, right? But then Ghost of Tsushima, very successful, but still not for everybody. Last of Us, same thing. Neo, Dreams, Final Fantasy, none of these games are actually similar at all. They're all very, very different. And even the games I listed, like Ratchet and Clank, is not Returnal, which is not Kenna, which is not Horizon, which is not God of War, which is not Gran Turismo, which is, and I'm sure I'm forgetting games too, right? None of these games are the same, and that's very good. That's one of the main strengths of Sony is not only do they have multiple games that come out every single year, okay? Some years are a little less than others, but normally they have a good handful. Not only that, but they're also all different. They're not the same kind of title over and over again, right? And that is very, very good. I think PlayStation is honestly primed for a really good year. I know, especially economically, there was a lot of concerns of, I mean, if we hit some bad times economically, that's going to hurt everybody. It's not just going to hurt PlayStation. But I know there was worries, like in the gaming industry, of do you see kind of a recession there where people don't buy consoles in this kind of middle territory because they bought it early and that's kind of it. And then people that didn't do it then maybe won't do it over the next couple of years because they may be very short on money. Definitely possible. And that's something that Sony has to, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that, right? That's everybody has to worry about their own finances, right? You have to look out for yourselves and your families and all that kind of stuff. You have to look out for that first. Sony has to kind of just plan for, okay, if we can't sell this many million, like what do we do? All that kind of stuff. Those are just economics that Sony has to figure out. But honestly, I think they are primed for a really, bearing a recession, a really, really good 2021. Really, there's going to be so many games. I really do hope the communication is better and just how they do it. Again, there was nothing really wrong with the state of plays that they did do in 2020. I want more of them in 2021. And as long as they do that, we got the console. The PS5 is out. Now it's about giving it to everybody else, right? Easing that transition for people, providing those first party games, having those deals with that's another one too, right? Having those third party, which I know people that are anti Sony or anti Microsoft, and again, I see where they're coming from, like rightfully so. They do get upset, right? Because if Microsoft, if Sony, if Nintendo, if you kind of scoop up a game that otherwise would have been available to everybody, that does suck. That does hurt, whether it's a timed exclusive or whether it's whatever. That does suck. But at the same time, I mean, it's a business thing. They're trying to get people to buy their console, right? To play their games, to play it on their system. So you get why they do it, right? I think everybody gets it. It's just kind of the way the industry works, right? But that's important too. I mean, Final Fantasy, that's the one I actually didn't say out loud. Final Fantasy 16 may come out fall of 2021, right? And that's a third party game, but it's going to be probably Sony exclusive for like at least a year. I think they said like 1 or 2 years. So that's a very long time for a Final Fantasy game to only be, now it could also be on PC, but to be on PlayStation, that's a really, really big deal. Okay, so I'm looking forward to PlayStation in 2021. I'm looking forward to Xbox. Again, I'm not, people maybe will look at this and say, Sony fanboy, tomorrow I'll talk about Xbox, and then I don't know what those people will say because I'm going to say some positive things about Xbox tomorrow, okay? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What are you expecting from Sony in 2021? What do you think PlayStation needs to do in general? Just for anything, really, for trust, for experience. What do you think they need to do next year? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And I do a brand new video on this channel every single day. And so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.